Hello and welcome to Bank, which is a Linux easy machine. I came across this because I saw a YouTuber do it and he was talking rather slowly, so I was just, I wanted to do this in a bit of a faster manner and just try to go through the different ways, but because there's multiple ways to do it and he did one of the sort of easier ones, so I'm just going to explain like the other method that can be used. As you can see, it's a relatively easy one. It has a lot of pawns and then also a lot of routes, because normally you see like a 10% drop off. Here only 89 people decided not to get to root because maybe they didn't have time or they just didn't figure out. Anyway, it's one of the first, because you see it's machine 26. Like, it's one of the first machines, which is pretty cool. If you go to, for example, 25, you're left off with something that doesn't even exist. So we're just going to go through this box of Bank. What you see here, we have 3 ports open. Normally there's not going to be, it's going to be SSH and HTB. In this case, we also get to see the DNS, and the one quick way to do it is by just checking the DNS. What you can see here is we get chris.bank.hackthebox, which is a non-default one. If you go to this page, you can just see a default web page, so it doesn't really bring you anything. If we go to chris.bank.hackthebox, so it doesn't really bring you anything, and I tried to do a directory scan, but I couldn't really find anything. And if we go to 10.10.10.29, we can see we also get this input to default page. But for some reason, if you add this page of bank.hackthebox to your computer, it's going to go to a redirect to this thing. It's supposed to not log me in, which is actually quite annoying. So I think if I disable this and refresh it, this is what it's supposed to look like. You can try to log in, and we know Chris exists, so it might be something like Chris at bank.hackthebox, because we saw the DNS which was there. We can do something like admin, but basically these are not going to allow you to log in, so you're left off with a directory scan. The way you can do it is, most of the time FUF is a good one. It might even have saved it. There we go. So if we just go for a directory scan on here, we can see we have uploads, assets, and I can just visit those. So let's just go to uploads, and we see we have a forbidden, and we can go to assets, which has some interesting things, but not something that, gives us the ability to sort of enumerate the privileges or whatever it is that it is. Then we have ink, which is also non-default, so that's also quite interesting. If we look at it, we can see a footer, header, and ticket. So again, we don't really see anything. And if you look at the source code, it's going to be basically an empty file, so nothing much as of here yet. And I believe once it is finished, it's going to bring you up with balance transfer. So I'm just already going to go there. If we just go to balance transfer, we see we get actually all of these pages of balance transfer. So if we just look at those, we can see there's going to be a hash, the username and email. This is probably uncrackable because it's such a long string. I think it's like 128 characters, which is not something we can crack that easily. But one interesting way to look at it this way, we can see the file size here. And most of the time in default Apache services, you can actually click on size, which does give you the smaller one. There we go. And if you click on this one, it might be that it doesn't have a password, or maybe things aren't stored correctly. So if we just open it up, we can see we are left off with an encrypt field, and we can actually see we have some password. With this, we can actually log into the page itself. I sort of accidentally started that one. So if I were to go to http://bank.hackthebox and were to use Chris at bank.hackthebox with its password, we should, what was it, user? Chris at bank.hackthebox. I don't think I copied it. Let's go. Chris at bank.hackthebox with the password. We should be able to log in. And on this thing itself, you can't really see much. What I see with the machines I do nowadays is there's a lot more sort of options, and the websites look actually legitimate. This one doesn't look that legitimate because we can just go to support and you already see some, upload structure, which is quite interesting. You can try to do a change. So I'll just do a test and a file. In this case, if we just look at the source code of this website, by just going to Ctrl-U, and you just scroll down it, and I already see here, I added the file extension hackthebox to actually this PHP for debugging purposes only. This is not something you would see as easily in easy boxes, even nowadays. I think this is one of the most easiest boxes I've done until now. So what I've done, I've created a ref shell to hack the box. And if I just go through PHP reverse shell, I just uploaded the pentest monkey one. It's quite a reliable one, and it's most of the time pretty stable. And in this case, if we just rename it to .hackthebox because it's saying it's translating it .php, we should get a shell. In this case, I have to go for a netcat listener, and we just go to the support box, we click on submit, we say we have a success, we click on here, it freezes, and indeed you can see we are the user. We're not Chris, so I don't think we can see its user.txt. Oh, we can actually. All right, I guess. Because if we look at etc password, we can see we have, go to that. We can see we have my user, and then should be Chris. Chris is here, which is also bin bash. So, you know, most of the time you have to get onto this user to be able to get this root flag. There was actually another way to get this, and that's by using burp suite. So if I just close this, and I'm not sure which was the intended way, but one of those ways was the intended way. If I just close out of here and go through the bank balance like this, and I have to log out. If I were to go here and I were to capture this in burp suite, because it's always cool to look at like how does it look. Sorry, it was not. Oh, sorry, my burp suite wasn't on. Okay, wait, let me do this. Stop, please. I think it's PHP ref shell. Yeah. Okay, let's just turn on burp suite, and then we're going to do test at test.nl with a test. If I now click on submit query, we can see this is not the one I want. What is pusher app? Who is this? Who is it? Select the box itself. Just please close, please. Right. If I just click on submit query, why are we not? There we go. Okay, there we finally have it. We definitely see something interesting. And if we click on do intercept, I can just go to forward, and we can see it intercept as well. And this in and on itself is not a problem, but if I were to go to index, so I can't change this. Let me send it to repeater. If I were to change this to index, which is like the default page, you would see a redirect. So it's 302 that's found, but this is weird because you can see the code itself, which is not something you have to, you know, this in itself is a vulnerability already. But the way it's saying it's a 302 that's found, and if we just go to the error page of error 302, and we have to turn off this burp suite proxy. If we were to look at what this is, an HTTP code, it is going to be the requested resource the requested resource has been temporarily moved to the URL in the location header. Okay. So what you can try to do in this case, if you just change this to the 200, it should work. So if we go to proxy again and do intercept the login, so test.nl and the test, submit query, and you can now actually sort of intercept the request or sort of the response, and we get a 200, right? So I forgot to change this to index.php again. Okay, let's just go through index.php. Let's go. We do get a get. Let me just see the intercept to this one forward. We get a 200k. I should not get a 200k. Oh, I remember. I already changed the part where you're supposed to do it. So a matching rule I added was the 200k. So wait, let me just show it. What I did here is I did a 302 that's it changes every 301 and 302 found to a 200k. In this case, it's already doing that. If I just were to, can I disable this for now? Enable like this. I think if I were to do it now, it wouldn't work. So let me just do a refresh. We get a 200. Probably because you get a 302. Yeah. So we change this to a 200. To 200. Okay. I think you can also do a found, but it's just better to do it this way. Okay. And forwarded. We should end up on this page. And now to make things easier for us, because it's going through a proxy anyway, we should go to the settings and enable this rule. It's not their standard, but you can just change this thing to a matching rule. And now what it's doing is if we just turn this off, it automatically changes it. So we can actually go to, for example, login.php, and we can see things. Like this is the actual page, but the one we wanted to look at was .support.php. And you don't get the pretty CSS, but it is still like great HTML, you know. And one way we could sort of do it again, if we start a netcat listener again, we can actually still upload things here. So if we do a test and a choose file with the ref shell hack the box and submit it, we can see it does sort of get added. If we click, it freezes and we have the actual shell again. Now, there's also going to be two ways to get to root. One of the sort of boring ways is you run this query, which is also going to be standard in linpies. We do see some read write s, which is SUID bit, which is normally not set on these things, meaning any user can execute it as the user of the owner. So it's going to be root. If we just do a / on this one, supposed to be, oh, sorry, did an extra slash. Shouldn't do that one. Let me just go here, support, resend, click here. I think it's this one. It's not this one. Resend. Let me just do another one. Just so. First, just name it something else. Where submit is here. Then we have first, click here. The quiet is not fatal, connection refused. Wait, I'm still in there. I was already in there. Okay. If we run this command, we should get root quite quickly. So if we do ID who am I, you can see we are root. This is one of the ways it could work. One other method we can use, if I just can I exit out of it? Maybe I just have to refresh it. Yeah. It's not like a great shell. We can't go up or we can't really do anything. And another method, which is looking at the write permissions. So this is another linpiece thing. Linpiece command. We can see we have write permissions to etc password, which is something you'd never want to see. Essentially meaning we can change anything to this password. And I do have to think about which thing I used again. It was, oh, damn it. I used a tool to make this password. Tool to generate MD5 password hash. It was, we can use this, it's fine. Use the generator to create MD5 password hash. Does it just, encoding thing generate? Let's just use this one, copy. Right, I think this is good enough. Okay, we can actually do an echo, and we can create a user, for example, at YouTube, and then we can just do the MD5 hash. This is not an MD5 hash, it's supposed to be different. Is it SHA? I'm sorry guys, I'm not sure which tool I used again. I've created one which I've already done. I should look up the tool. I'm gonna write it into the description in the editing. This basically is kick in some hash value. I'm not sure which tool again I used, but it's going to be kick if you sort of decrypt it, or like if you encode it from kick to this, you get this. I'm not sure which one it used. And then we can do, sorry, I should showcase better. Cat etc password. We want to make sure it looks something along the lines of this. If it says X, it's meaning the password is located elsewhere, most of the time in etc shadow. If we were now to create a new YouTube user with its password, and then we have the slash of 0, 0, I'm not sure what those things are. And then we can select what kind of rights it has. So it's going to be root /bin/bash. And we want to append it to etc password. If you do one arrow to the right, it's going to override it, but I think this is appending it. So if we do now cat etc password, we can see it appended it. If I can now do su to YouTube, it's not going to work because we require a terminal. The way you can spawn a terminal is if Python is installed, you can run a command, which is going to be import pty, and it's going to be pty.spawn /bin/bash. It's just a Python module to spawn interactive shells or spawn a service or whatever. And in this case, we can actually su to YouTube and provide a password of kick and be granted the root rights. I prefer this method over the other one, as the other one was just a file that was put there for emergencies, if in case you need to be root. It's not really safe, you know, but this is the one you can actually use to get the root flag. This was basically it. It's still quite a long video because I messed up a couple of times. But it was quite an interesting one, especially since seeing how old this machine is. So, yeah.